Hi, this is Andy Gardner, one of the instructors over here at Highlander. One of the things I'd like to take a quick look at today is how to take a black and white image and add a little bit of colour to it just to brighten it up. Obviously, with it being a black and white image, we don't know what the original colours are, so there's a degree of creativity here. We're going to come up with some colours of our own. This particular photo we're using as an example is a photograph of Winston Churchill, and we'll look at converting it from a plain black and white photograph like so into something that's got a little bit of colour on it. Now, the choice of colours is up to yourself, as you'll see in a few seconds. The easiest way to do this, and there's a number of different methods you could use, but the easiest way is actually to do this using adjustment layers, and in particular hue saturation adjustment layers. Now, the benefit of using an adjustment layer is they are non-destructive, and it also means you can then go back in quite easily and edit those adjustments, and if you want to change the colour of certain elements later on, you can. What we will need to do though is we will need to do accurate selections in here. The tool I'm going to use for this initially here is the quick select tool. Now, you can spend a lot of time on selections. You can spend a lot of time kind of perfecting them and getting them just right. And how good your selections are will depend to some degree as well on the quality of the image you're working on. If the image is kind of a little blurry, or it's very old, or it's in bad quality, that's obviously going to have an impact, and there's a degree of trial and error there in getting those right on such an old image. With this particular image, I'm going to use the quick select tool, and I'm just going to run around here and quickly select his hat. And you can see that tool's doing a pretty good job of grabbing the hat there and making it quite easy for me. Once I've got the hat selected, then the hue saturation adjustment layer is over here in the adjustments panel. You can get to that adjustments panel from the window if it's not window menu if it's not already open. So click on there. And then we go over here, and the hue saturation is the very first one on the middle row. And if I click on that, it brings up the properties panel and shows me the settings for the hue saturation. Now, the immediate natural thing to do is grab the hue bar there and try changing that. And as you can see on the image, that's having no real effect. And the reason it's having no real effect is we are working on a black and white image, and what I need to do is tick this tick box down here for colorize in order to introduce some colour here. That now allows me to drag the hue bar across and change that. And as you can see, it's going around the colour wheel there and changing it to a variety of different colours. So I can pick a colour that I think is probably fairly realistic. I'm going to stop around there. And if I want to, I can reduce or increase the saturation there. Now, if you play with the saturation, and in particular the lightness too much, you'll end up making this look quite unrealistic quite quickly. I can probably play with the saturation to a degree, either dull it down or increase it slightly. That's probably a fair balance there. I'm actually not going to mess with the lightness at all. I'm going to leave that set to the existing point. I now need to go back to my original image. Now, just be a little bit careful here, because on the layers panel you'll see that the focus is now shifted onto the hue saturation layer itself rather than the image. So you want to make sure that it's actually the image itself that's selected in the layers panel there. And then I'm going to go back over here to the main image, and we're going to select his jacket now. And we'll go down here, and again I'm using the quick select tool, and I've selected the outline of the jacket. Now again, we could spend a long time perfecting the selection and getting it just right. Just purely so this demo doesn't go on for ages though, we're going to go with the standard selection that's in there at the moment and work on that one. And again, I'm going to go back across to the adjustment layers panel there and create another hue saturation adjustment. So I'll click on that, and it's creating a second hue saturation adjustment. Now, if you look over here on the right hand side, you'll see that's put another new layer in there. The initial layer is there with the hat, and you can see the white outline on the mask there of the hat. If we look down below that, you'll see a second hue saturation layer, adjustment layer, and it's got the actual jacket showing on that one in white. And that's because the change we apply now will apply to the jacket area. Now again, I can tick on colorize, introduce a little colour in here, and again I can adjust this to whatever colour I think he'd likely be wearing. Now, he might be in a kind of a green colour, or he may be in a blue. I don't have any way of knowing from this particular image because the image itself was created in black and white. So we'll go in there, we'll put him into a blue jacket. Looks a realistic colour for that day and age. And again, careful which layer you're on, we're going to jump back to the background layer again. And we can then go forward and select the next area. So we might decide the wall behind him here needs to have a little bit of a reddish tinge. We're going to work on the assumption this is probably some kind of brick wall. So we've selected that. Again, a hue saturation adjustment. We'll bring this down. We'll turn on colorize first. And we've got that kind of reddish tinge here. And again, we can play with the saturation levels. take them right down just to give a little bit of a more natural feel to that. And we could go on like this, and we could work through the face, for example. We could take out the eyes and do those as a separate one so we can colour his eyes. We can do the bow tie, and we may choose to leave the shirt in white. And eventually you'll end up with something like this. And you can see here there's one I've created, and we have a number of different adjustment layers here on the side. In this particular one we have about 6. Now, there are a lot of other tools that we cover in the courses that you could use in conjunction with this. You could have a play with your quick select tool, you could play with the masks in particular and edit the masks. You could put a little bit of feathering on some of the edges there to make some of those kind of transition areas a little smoother. But you can quite quickly and easily create quite a believable colour image from what originally starts as a pure black and white image. So that's a short introduction to the hue, saturation, adjustment layers, and also to a degree to masking and layers in Photoshop.